Hello, I'm Robin and I'm a normal alcoholic. Why do you drink? Well, everyone's going to have their own reasons, but when it comes to addiction, people will probably have some stereotypes that come to mind. A traumatic childhood, a broken home, dysfunctional family, but trauma is kind of relative to the individual. Someone's mild neglect could be as significant as someone else's physical beatings. Yes, most psychologists could probably work with you and find some root thought process or behavioural patterns that eventually led to you relying on your drug of choice. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what that is. Most addicts don't pinpoint one thing that they can say, that's why I used or drank. They come to realise that they just didn't really connect with the world in a way that they thought other people did. This leads to the idea that I didn't have a problem with alcohol. I had a problem with life, with me. I just couldn't cope existing, at least not sober. I needed to change the way I felt. Many people agree that fear is the underlying motivator behind most human behaviour. A fear of loneliness, a fear of rejection, a fear of not being understood or appreciated, a fear of not finding love. Once you start talking to addicts, if you ignore the details, the substance they used or the situations they got into, then the underlying thinking emerges the same with everyone. They're just people trying to get through their day-to-day life and make meaningful, fulfilling connections. That's why you can have all the money and success in the world. You can be the most popular guy, the center of attention at the fanciest of fancy parties. But if you don't feel like you've connected with someone, then you can still feel alone. You can still feel like a fraud or an outsider. So if you then discover something that makes you feel better and doesn't require another person, then that becomes the thing you turn to deal with life. That helps you cope with your reaction to the world. It's self-medicating you against all those things that were hurting you. Unfortunately, that's a manufactured state of mind. It's fake. It's just making you feel good in that moment. But in that moment, that's all you need. So here's my story in brief, very brief. In my childhood, going through school up to my teens, I was very shy. I know that's a cliche, but yes, I was very shy. I was nervous. I was afraid of getting in trouble. I was afraid of being rejected by my friends. I was afraid of letting down my parents. I didn't do very well in large groups. I didn't feel like I could join in with the conversation. I just felt awkward. Then drink arrived. Those experiences in the early days felt like a whole new me. Finally, I could join in with the group, joke, laugh, didn't feel awkward or an outsider. I could actually speak to girls, maybe have a cheeky bit of fun. So from an early age, I would start to have a drink before going and meeting my friends. I just thought if I can calm those nerves just a little bit, then I can finally be the me that I want to be. The problem is this reliance on alcohol has a really bad effect on your confidence, because in my mind I couldn't be that person without a drink. Then I feel like even more of a failure, which means I have to have even more just to go and meet up. So as things progress, the amount that I would have before going out increased. There'd be nights when I might have had 4, 5, 6 drinks before even getting to the pub. So when everyone else is starting to get a bit merry after their number 4 or 5, then I've had double that, and I'm starting to make mistakes. I'm starting to embarrass myself. I remember there would be nights when even before I'd gone out, I'd look in the mirror and I'd see my eyes were like glassy and bloodshot, but I still didn't feel like I'd have enough to go out. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about how bad things got. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that I decided to make a change. I'd had enough. So I started trying. I tried counselling. It didn't work. I tried cutting down the drink. I couldn't. I ended up in rehab. I did yoga. I did meditation. I did acupuncture. I did group therapy. None of it worked. So for almost 3 years, I had multiple relapses and multiple attempts. And eventually, everything sunk in. It wasn't just one thing on its own. It was a combination of everything I'd done, everything I'd been through, everything I'd learned. But finally, it clicked. And on the 17th of September 2021, I had my last drink. I'm really glad I did, because 8 months later, I lost my mum to cancer. Where previously I couldn't even go to the pub to meet my friends without having a drink, now I could mourn the loss of my mother sober. I didn't need to have a drink to let out my emotions. I didn't need to have a drink to cry. I didn't need to have a drink to talk to my friends or family. I didn't need to have a drink to help me get to sleep. So if I can get through the biggest loss of my life without needing a drink, without feeling like I need a drink, then I can't imagine anything that's going to make me turn to it again. Now, I still have regrets, fears, insecurities, but I don't let those things overwhelm me anymore. I know it's better to face those as me, as sober me. If any of this resonates with you, I suggest you check out some of my other videos. So do the clicky stuff like subscribe, etc. But for now, goodbye.